The element of growth has always been one of the strongest elements in anime storytelling. Whereas the vast majority of Western cartoons will usually reset their characters back to zero after an episode is over, anime will generally remember a character's advancements, have them call back to previous episodes, and often have their cast become completely different by the time a series is over. One of the animes that I feel like shows this the best, and is perfect for the Valentine spirit, is the soft, character-focused series known as Fruits Basket. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and welcome back to Fascinating Fiction. Before we delve too deep into things for Fruit Basket, a couple of things I'd actually like to point out about the series that I find interesting and that you should probably understand. First off is that this is actually the rare instance of an anime that got a second chance to tell its story. The original Fruits Basket anime actually came out back in 2001 and covered roughly half of the original series before ending. While I can't say for certain why it didn't continue on after this point, it's been said that the series creator, Natsuki Takaya, and anime director Akitaro Daichi ran into a lot of disagreements over things like the cast, coloring, and even style of the director's storytelling. You add this to the fact that the manga itself didn't complete its run until 2006, and it makes sense why only half of the original story got covered. The second interesting thing about the original anime was the fact that Funimation, the dubbing company behind the English version of the series, actually made a project calling for convention goers to fold 1,000 origami paper cranes. It's actually a thing in Japanese folklore that if you fold that amount of cranes, you'd be granted a wish. They did this in an attempt to convince Studio Dean, the animators behind the original anime, to try and do the rest of the series. While this never actually happened, from what I've been able to see, Funimation did have a major hand in helping create today's subject, the 2019 remake of Fruits Basket. Please take that line with a grain of salt though, since the only website I was able to properly confirm this from was Wikipedia and no other source. So yeah, take of that what you will. Now, what exactly is Fruits Basket, and why do I say it's so fitting for Valentines? This is an anime that is all about relationships, with feelings of the heart being a main focus. Notice that I didn't say romance there. While yes, romance does become a thing later on within the series, the main focus here is the characters, their situation, and how they grow. The anime focuses on Toru Honda, a young high school girl who's had a rough time of life as of late. After losing her mother shortly before the series even begins, we actually find her living in a small tent in the woods, having to do so after her grandfather had to leave his own home for renovations and was unable to take care of her. Not wishing to be a burden to him, she insists on taking care of herself. It's as she's heading to school for the day that Toru learns that the woods are actually on the property of one of her fellow classmates, the class prince Yuki Soma, and Yuki's older cousin Shigure Soma. After a landslide destroys her tent, and taking pity on the poor girl after getting to know her for a little bit, the pair take her into their own home. This is where a bit of the magic of this series comes in, as we're introduced to Kyo, another cousin to Yuki, who wishes to fight him. Trying to stop things before they get out of hand, Toru ends up falling into Kyo and...
I'm so sorry, are you okay?
Yeah, so as it turns out, after a bit of craziness and 2 more transformations later, that the Soma family has a curse on them. 12 members of the family are possessed by the spirits of the Chinese zodiac and will transform into them whenever they're hugged by someone of the opposite gender, or, as we later find out, when they are weak or under a lot of stress. Kyo, being the cat, actually embodies one of the major running themes of the anime as it goes on with the story of how the zodiac came to be in the first place. Told earlier on in the show itself, the story of the Zodiac goes on to detail about how God had invited all the animals to a banquet, giving them all a date. The rat, being a mischievous prankster, told the cat that the banquet had been moved to the day after next, causing the cat to miss the entire thing and not become part of the Zodiac at all. This story, though none of our characters ever lived through it, is something that most of the members of the Zodiac strongly believe in. Because of this and later story revelations that we won't get into today, this has caused things like Kyo and Yuki's mutual hatred for each other, being the cat and rat respectfully. But while this story provides the backbone of the anime itself, serving as the reason for a lot of the events of the story to actually take place, it's not the focus. The focus instead is the influence that Toru has on the rest of the cast, using her kind nature and stories of her mother to help inspire them, heal them, and bring them together more as a family. For the Somas are quite the broken family indeed, though not just because of the curse. The focus of this first season of the Fruits Basket anime covers pretty much what the entirety of the original anime did, though a deal more faithful to the original manga in many respects. We get to meet many members of the Zodiac family and see how each in turn are touched by Toru's kindness or how she does her best to help them. This ranges from helping the family doctor and dragon of the Zodiac, Hitori, remember the good times he had with a past love, to helping Momiji, the rabbit, burden the pain of not having his mother remember just who he is. And while this is only just the base, it grows and grows as Toru meets more members of the Soma's family and becomes determined to break the curse that's been placed on them. Now you might be wondering, after we've talked about it for a good while now, why this series is called Fruits Basket. Well, believe it or not, that's actually a story within the tale as well. Taking place within Toru's childhood, her kindergarten class had to play a game by the same name, in which every child had been given the name of a fruit. When that fruit was called out, they'd stand up and play a round of tag. Cruel little kids, being what they are, told Toru instead that she was an onigiri, a ball of rice that's a common food in Japan. At such a young age, she didn't think about it at all, considering the fact that she loved onigiri and thought them delicious. It's only after the game was over and she realized that she never got called that it dawns on her that she didn't belong with the other kids, saying,
Rice balls don't belong in a fruits basket.
It's this theme that later is seen on in the anime, where after her grandfather's house is finished renovating, he invites her back. At this point, however, Toru has truly felt like she belonged with the Somas, and eventually breaks down into tears that she still wanted to live with them, to learn more about Kyo and Yuki, and about how she wanted to become closer to them. This wish is granted as both boys end up grabbing her from her grandfathers, taking her back to live with them for the rest of the series, symbolized by Toru imagining her younger self hearing onigiri being called, signaling that she's found a place to belong. This is what I mean about this being the perfect kind of anime for Valentines, as I hope I've shown you here, just with how the series can really give you the warm and fuzzy feels. Love isn't just romantic. You've got familial love, the love of good friends, and a love of people who just wish to be kind and see you grow. It's this kind of love that Toru has, that she gives, and it's the heart and soul of Fruits Basket. As of this moment, the entire series of Fruits Basket can be found online fairly easily, and I'd suggest giving it a watch if you're wanting an anime that can make you feel good, even if there are parts that would also make you cry with how hard it can be on some of the characters, especially in the later seasons where things start coming to a head. Not only would it be a wonderful way to spend the next week or two to just enjoy such a wonderful anime, it would actually be just in time for the upcoming compilation film, Fruits Basket Prelude, which actually recaps the 2019 series and includes a special episode that focuses on Toru's parents, as well as an original story that's set after the end of the series, all which should be out by the end of this month. And for those of you who've actually seen the series, tell me, who's your favorite member of the Zodiac? I'm honestly curious if I'm the only one who gets a real kick out of the snake, especially considering he's played by the same voice actor as Piccolo and All Might. With all that said, I hope I've done a good job to entertain you, and I'll do my best to do so again in the future. Hopefully you'll all follow along with my content by subscribing and doing all the other things that gives us YouTubers life. But until next time, stay frosty.